Let's turn back to the federal political situation. Kos Samaras joins me. He's director at RedBridge Group. Kos, your analysis on the latest polling, the Newspoll had a few trends which were very similar to your own research, and basically Labor continues to underperform with TAFE-educated voters, non-tertiary educated voters. What's happening under that headline number?
That's a story of, I think, the last 12 months when it comes to federal politics, and that is Labor is losing altitude amongst these groups of Australians. And we've got to be careful not to stereotype the sort of people that we're talking about. You know, the atypical person the federal government's got a problem with is a woman in her 40s living in the outer suburbs or regions with a TAFE qualification and with kids at home. And it's this type of voter that we are picking up in our research that the government's got a significant problem with at the moment.
So where are things heading at the moment for the government? Is this something which is existential as a threat to them, or does it look more like, I know we're a year out and very hard to make predictions, but where they're heading at the moment, if an election were held today, most likely they'd be in minority, wouldn't they?
Yeah, it's pretty close to suggest that that's where we're going. And we're probably looking at a Labor minority government of sorts. We're seeing a continuation of what happened in 2022, and that is the major party vote is continuing to lose altitude, traction to minor parties. So Labor is doing poorly across the board, but the coalition showing no signs of picking up some of those losses in any significant way. So Queensland, it looks like a status quo situation now based on Newspolls and aggregate analysis. WA, there's a correction. That correction was always going to come. Tasmania, we know the problem Labor faces in Tasmania, both at a federal and state level. We've got a preview into that at the March 23rd state election. Coalition lost a lot of votes to minor parties, none to the Labor Party. And that's going to be a theme, I think, across the board, where major parties lose votes to their left or right flank, but not to each other.
So if you're in headquarters with Paul Erickson, the head of the National Secretary of the Labor Party, or the Federal Director of the Liberal Party, Andrew Hurst, what's your message to them? Where do they need to take their political strategy over the next 6 to 12 months?
On the Labor side of politics, it's pretty simple, and that is hold the line in the outer suburbs of our large cities. If Labor can defend those marginal seats like Werriwa, Macarthur in outer Western Sydney, Blair in Brisbane, McEwen in Melbourne, and obviously a number of seats in WA as a result of what we think is going to be a correction. If they can hold those seats or limit the losses there, and then hold its own up against the Greens, where most of that threat is really in Melbourne, it will largely face a situation where it's looking at a minority government. Does it have any possibility of gains? Unlikely. I know there's been some stories around that, they could make up some seats in Queensland. That's just, hard to see, even with the Newspoll analysis over the last couple of days showing a slightly better position. They're still in the primary vote still got a 2 in front of it. So with the primary vote of 2 in front of it, you're not gaining any seats off the coalition.
And what about for the Liberal Party and the coalition under Peter Dutton? Where do you see him heading? One of the key moments for him coming up next month is the budget reply. It's always a chance where the national focus is on him.
Look, they've got a few hurdles to jump over. The first one is they need to win back some of these Teal seats to have any chance of getting to that 75 figure. That's unlikely given, I'd say, the politics of the last 12 months, whether we look at the referendum and the position that his team took to that referendum. The yes vote was the highest in a lot of these Teal seats. Then we flip that to his position on nuclear. We know it's that nuclear as a policy is the most unfavourable in these Teal seats. So really, their strategy is obviously going to be focused on the outer suburbs. And we've got a bit of a preview into what that looked like at the Dunkley by-election, and they got a bit distracted with their own, I would say, pet hobbies. So they focused on crime and they focused on issues that actually really don't resonate as a political issue when it comes to moving that vote. You know, on crime, for example, when we talk to voters, you know, what actually is causing the crime issue? Most voters' response is actually quite a mature one. It's societal. It's, you know, it's an economic one. It's going to take a lot of work to fix it. They don't believe politicians, you know, walking in the last minute and saying, vote for me because I'm going to fix that problem. So we haven't seen real evidence that they're going to really focus on the outer suburbs at the moment.
Kos Samaras from RedBridge Group, thanks as always. Appreciate it.